Well, hello, everybody. We hope you're doing fantastically well. It is your Sunday supplement, of course. It is the Hardline. We're getting full throng back into the seasonal stuff now, even though it is only the 13th of July. Yes, this just hasn't ended from the end of the season, really. It's just continuous Leeds United transfer news and Leeds United puzzle making and Leeds United stress and Leeds United anxiety and Leeds United whatever, Gabe. How are you doing, mate? All good?
I don't know what you're whinging about. You went to multiple weddings. You've been to Italy.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
only thing I heard from you when you were in Italy was complaints about American tourists.
You're not supposed to say that online.
Yeah, no. By the way, you probably want to cut the audio we can hear the audio, by the
We're
way.
all good, mate. We're all good. It's just been cut.
Yeah.
Good to see a few of you in the building. What's going on, everybody? Evening all. Hey, Jamie. What's going on? Gabe is the best. I think we've found a little super fan for you here, Gabe. Harry's in
All
for you all
right.
the time. Could be a little bit of a burner account. Gabe looks down quite a bit in these streams. So I've no idea if he's just typing it himself. It could be. That is a sort of Gabe thing to do. Is Bill? Is Bill? No response. Is Bill suspended for the first game?
Worthy response
Against Everton? I've not heard a definitive answer. A few people saying yes to that, but we're not going to do that, everybody. Today, we're going to be speaking about. We're going to be having a little bit of a debate on basically Leeds United's realistic 11 going into the season. What me and Gabe thinks. We are doing a lot of transfer news when it comes to the hardline, and then we're going to look at our hopeful 11 as well. So we've done 2 lineups each. Who we think's a bit realistic, who we think's hopeful. We're gonna have a little bit of a conversation about it as well, and see who we think's right, who we think's wrong, in what position, formations, people, whatever. So let us know in the comment section below your thoughts. I'm sure you will do, everybody. But yeah, man, how's everything going, Gabe? All good on your side of the pond? Everything good, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's copacetic.
Yep.
Great. No, it's not great.
It's not.
No, but the weather here in California is very nice. And I'm enjoying a coffee by Hannah's Coffee here in San Jose in the Alameda neighborhood.
No sponsor. Are they Leeds fans? Would the fans sponsoring the channel? Hannah's Coffee?
I don't know they know who Leeds United is, but I could it's a very alternative place. I'm not sure it's alternative California. I think they're worried about catching the next wave. You know what I
You're
mean?
an alternative guy. You can go in with the Leeds shirt.
Alternative is a very large category. This is not that kind of alternative. But I'll give it my best shot. I'll see if I can convert them to Leeds United fans.
That's it, mate. 400 of you in the building, everybody. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video as well. Evening regulars. When did Gabe get a nose ring? I think you've already had
I've had a nose ring for 3 years, but nice to see you here.
Yeah, it was. That's what you call a midlife crisis.
I also have a large nose, so it's difficult to miss. And the other ring was actually larger, but when I went to Leeds a couple of years ago, I took my glasses off, and this bit popped the stud off, and I lost it in the street. So I had to go into a Leeds city center piercing place where they had to re-pierce it and put another one in. It was.
I wish you remembered the name, because a lot of Leeds fans will have been in there. I may even have been in there. So who knows?
Have you got earrings?
I've got my ears pierced, but I've never put them in. It was a teenage problem, of which
you came home and your dad was waiting for you with a cricket bat.
Yeah.
Where have you been off to?
Yeah, with a bat waiting for me to come through the door. Yeah, exactly. I know what you guys are going through. It's tough when you have no pulse. Says NFFC 2000. NFFC 2000 is very, very scathing of Nottingham Forest. So, yeah, interesting. Johnny says, guys, chillaxing over in Mexico in the knowledge all will come together. March on together. Shout out to you, mate. Graham's here as well. Even chats, fingers crossed for a couple of big signings this week. And Kyle, thank you so much, mate. I think you're the first to ask, or one of the. Yeah, I think you are. Evening, gents. How are you both doing? We're both doing all right, mate. All good. All right, so do you want to sort of explain? I mean, we just had a bit of an idea, or you had an idea today, didn't we? How it'd be quite good to have a little bit of discourse on, and I guess there's got to be a lot of context with these things, hasn't there?
Yeah, why don't I preamble this, by the way?
Yeah, let's do it. Do it.
All right, so first of all, what we don't want to do, because it's obviously slow this time of the season, and it's just transfer speculation. Conor does multiple updates through the week, so what we didn't want to do is just get on and say, here's who we think we'll sign. Will we sign this person? Because it's constant, right? So what we actually thought was, we're going to put together an 11 on what we actually think, in good faith, is going to be our 11 when we kick off in August. And then what we hope is our 11 when we kick off in August.
Yeah.
Now, the context here is that this is my context. Maybe it's different from Connor's, but I am not a big believer in preseason as a gauge. The last time we switched divisions, all right, we went to the championship for the Premier League. Farke's first game in preseason was against Manchester United. Obviously, a match that even in preseason that we get up for, we want to win. Do you know what the starting 11 was in that match, Connor? Well, spoiler alert, I'll tell you. Greenwood playing striker, Poveda, Jamie Shackleton, JB, Sinistera, that was nice. Yelda, Mullen, Drama, and Cooper. Oh, and Clayson in net. So all I'm just gonna say is that like this prediction is not for the start of our preseason. It's like what we think. Two different scenarios coming from both of us. Leeds United will kick off in the regular season, even before the window is shut. So there's still maybe some work to do. So it's a realistic like prediction and then a realistic hope. None of this pie in the sky stuff. You won't see Jack Grealish on any of my lineups, right?
Yeah, we've moved on from that. Okay, so what we'll do is as I said, I mean, do you think, Gabe, me and you were talking about this a lot off air as well, and just before we get into the lineups, it's going to be the main part of the video. Why don't we have a little bit of a brief chat on where Leeds are at right now? Yeah. Where are you at? It's the first time we've caught up with you in a week. Last time we were speaking, I was watching the Hardline from last week, and we were saying, look, it'd be idyllic, obviously, if we went into last week and we brought in maybe 2 or 3 players. Obviously, that's not happened. It's been a little bit slower than maybe we first thought. Where are you at a week on? Are you still in sort of the same position? And from what you just said as well, it pretty much guides me to think that you are of the same thought process.
I'm close, although my anxiety level has gone from relaxing on the beach to like sitting in the cabana wondering if there's a storm coming. I'm still near the beach and I'm still relaxed, but I don't feel quite as good. And there's 2 reasons for it. The first reason is that we have done a good job with the signings we've done thus far. There's not been a single signing where I've scratched my head and been like, what? Even Nemecha is a free signing. These are good quality signings we're bringing in. I'm not nearly as pessimistic as some folks on that. And the second part of it is, there's been a lot of chat about PSR and haggling with money. I think what it comes down to, there are high value positions. And you said this at the start of the window, Connor, where you can spend a lot less money on certain positions to get high quality. But in certain areas of the park, you're not going to be able to get away with that. You have to spend big money to get good attacking players to come into the top league in the world and keep your team up. So I do think that, we're probably going to see some big bids. But I'm not going to lie. Like in a perfect world, I would love to have the keeper by now. Because that's my biggest area of concern.
We spoke about that, haven't we?
Yeah. So that was the first signing you wanted in the door.
Yeah,
you were pretty keen on that being the first in. So So anyway, the TLDR is I feel okay, but I don't feel great.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point as well. Like a week ago, 10 days ago, it was very much everything's fine, and it is fine. Fall through the door is okay. It's fine. There've been decent signings as well. I think they've bolstered the squad a little bit, but I am kind of looking at this Man United game coming up, and it will be quite nice leading up to that game. If I don't think players are going to feature in that game, but it'd be quite nice if we're able to get maybe a couple through the door. I think that will be
Connor,
nice.
We're going to use players that we're trying to sell.
Yeah, no, what I'm trying to say is just in general negotiation and transfer confirmation. I just hope behind the scenes I'm not saying they will be playing against Man United. I'm saying it would just be good to have in the next week leading up to it, 2 signings through the door, I think. And look, we're getting to that point, aren't we, Gabe? In a week's time, it's going to be a month until the season starts off and we're playing Everton at home. So it is kind of getting to that point really where that squad synergy needs to be especially with the 4 positions. I've mentioned this on a couple of shows, the 9 and the 10. They need to strike some sort of telepathic relationship as well, of which needs to build over preseason. I just think it's at that stage now where your big boys, especially in the attacking areas, need to be brought in. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at.
I don't think we're going to see the squad really come together until the 3rd, 4th match of the season.
Good Lord, that would be.
But look at the run of games we have. You know what I mean? Like Everton's one thing, but some of the other games.
That would worry me.
No one's gonna like it, but I think it's. If you're going to, anyway, I don't want to get in this rabbit hole. There's a strategy behind doing that, and it's going to be incendiary. So I'm just going to shut up and we'll move on to the conversation.
Okay, cool.
See, I'm learning. By the way, my anxiety level is probably only what it is because you convinced me to get on that stinkhole of an app again, where everything's on fire all the time.
And
Where everyone's always upset about everything all the time, every day, every minute.
And what app is that? Well, it looks like, to be fair,
I'll leave you all to guess.
it leads, to be fair, in a
Twitter.
week that it looks like it also looks like, you know, you've got Josh Sargent, who apparently is advancing with Burnley, so at least we've kind of swerved that a little bit. I guess that's a positive thing.
And that's the other thing I'll say is, if I'll feel a lot worse if we make like a bad signing. And for me,
Yeah.
he's not as bad as people say. Like people act like he's the worst player to ever potentially come into Leeds. That's not the case. But that being said, I don't want Josh Sargent. If he's pay 19 million for a guy like him, I'm going to be very distressed about how we'll do in the season.
Exactly.
Put it that way.
Yeah. So the graphic on screen, you will see to Gabe's left, I believe it is. There's just a bit of a blank space. We're going to hit up the starting 11s now. So we're going to go for Gabe's realistic take. We're going to go for Connor's realistic take. Gabe's hopeful and Connor's hopeful. So let us know what you think in the comment section below when it comes to it. And yeah, so as I say, we'll kick off with Gabe's realistic take here. So Gabe's gone with in net Livakovic, he's gone right back, Jayden Bogle, Joe Rodon, Jakobiol, Gabriel Goodmanson, which I think the back four is definitely... Livakovic surprised me, but I understand we've been linked to him, but that's I didn't expect you to go for that one. But obviously you've got that back five there. I think the four is solid. We'll get onto your rationale in just a sec, Gabe, but then you've got, obviously in the pivot, Ampadu and Stack. Then out wide, you've got Dan James. On the right-hand side, you've got Gus Hamer. And then you've got Manor Solomon. Interesting indeed. And then
wait a minute.
top...
This is not...
Is this not yours?
No, this is yours.
Oh, is it? I might have put yours. Hold on. Is this yours?
No, you might have taken... I think what you did is you took my graphic and then tried to manually upload it into a format that looked nicer. And you
misplaced which one's
things.
Hold on, we've got it here. Hold on. A little bit of a technical issue, guys.
Oh dear. This isn't don't blame the tech. This is not the tech.
I constantly do this every morning, just blame the tech. Right, hold on. It is... This
is why your YouTube channels need to have production meetings.
I actually had this pretty sorted. I was buzzing with it. So this is Gabe's anyway. So we've just got the rough draw of it anyway. So he's got Livakovic in net. Started off quite well, mate. Bogle, Rodon, Beal, Goodmanson, and then Ampadu and Longstaff in the middle. Up top, you've gone, on the front four, you've got James, Hamer, Solomon, and Muniz, to be fair on the graphic. I think it was literally just Longstaff out.
That's right.
In comparison to Stack, I think it was. Yeah, I think... go on then. Do you want to talk through that one?
And remember, this is what I think is most realistic to kick off the season versus with the end of the window. I do think we'll get Stack in. I think it's going to be late in the window. I think we'll get Longstaff done. I think a lot of the money we're depending is going to be on Muniz. And I think that it really depends on... There's other players I would like. And on the left side of the midfield. But if I had to bet on it, and this is what it comes down to, is just like I'd put money on this versus my realistic hope is that Farka wants Solomon back. And I think that'll be a Daniel Farka signing. He wants Solomon as his left winger. So I think that the back four picks itself. By the way, I'm going to start calling Gunmans Gundy. That's going to be my trademark.
Oh yeah, moving away from Gabby.
Yeah. And then, I think Ampadu's... Do you know how I feel about this? But realistically, I think to kick off the season, Ampadu will be our starting defensive midfielder. I would... Again, my pick would be Tanaka in that midfield double pivot. But I think that it took a while for Tanaka to get into the team last season. He went with Gruev and Ampadu for a long time. And I think if we get Sean Longstaff is... I don't understand some of our fan base. There's been a lot of slander of Sean Longstaff that I don't really understand. The vast majority of people at Newcastle seem to think he was a very, very solid midfielder for them, helped get them where they needed to go, and then they just turned into a world-class midfield. He doesn't have a place in there anymore. I think that Farka will go with Longstaff over Tanaka, a little bit more conservative approach in that dual pivot. Hamer over Buendia, simply because I think Buendia's cost is going to be higher. I think that there's too many risks to go, unless we do like a loan with a option to sign. For Buendia, I think it could be probably Hamer, but I'm 50-50 on who that will be. I think he likes Dan James and wants to start him there. I think Muniz is the big signing, the big money signing for the striker position. Again, this is not what I want. This is what I think is the most realistic, based on, and that's not the end of business to close the window either. Is when we kick off first match, I think that will be the lineup.
Okay, interesting. Well, what I'll do is we'll head to mine as well, and then we will make a little bit of an assessment anyway on what's going on. So I've gone in net Aaron Ramsdale. That is,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
listen. You really are pessimistic, because
What do you mean?
the first pick you do is the keeper you don't want.
Yeah.
Of all the keepers we've been linked with,
Well, let me
the
explain.
first person
Let me
you put
explain.
down on the team sheet is the one that
Let me
gives you the
explain
most
why.
anxiety.
Let me
Oh,
explain
you are
why.
so funny.
Let me
Go
explain
on.
why.
Oh no,
So,
go through the whole sheet and then
okay, okay. This is what
explain
you
it.
do. You
Sorry,
chop in straight away.
you're right. I'm
Right.
sorry. I'm just shocked to see that right away.
I thought you would be. I thought you would be.
Oh my God,
Bogle, Rodon, Beal, Goodmanson, Ampadu, Stack. I think Stack will be brought in, which I think will be advantageous to Leeds, obviously. James, I think, starts on that right-hand side. It's beneficial for us in a transitional sense. I think on that right-hand side as well, he prefers to James over Nonto. I think on the first game of the season, Gabe, you've made a good point in terms of just how we start on the first game of the season. I think it will be Brendan Aronson. I don't think Leeds get him. I don't think Leeds get Hamer done. I think it would have happened by now.
You might be right.
There's
Oh,
no way
God.
they get. I don't think they get Hamer done. I don't
I
think they get
really
Hamer
hope you're
done at
wrong,
all.
Connor. Can I ask you a question before you do your whole justification here? Do you
Yep.
think that at the end of the window we'll have another starting number 10 to push Aronson out?
Yes, I do.
Thank God.
I don't, I don't think it will be Hamer. And I'm looking at. There's not that many rumors of number 10s out there. Not any sort of consolidated rumors out there anyway. But as you know, Gabe, I would push for that. I know we've spoken about Buendia. Too many injuries wouldn't go near that with a barge pole. But I do look at Brendan Aronson. I think he likes him. I think contrary to popular belief, he does like him. I do think he likes Brendan Aronson. I think he thinks it's realistic in the Premier League? I don't know. Maybe Farke thinks to himself, if he's got protection in there, Aronson loses the ball quite a bit in offensive areas. If he's got the protection of Stack and Ampadu in and around him and some really hard-working left wingers and right wingers, potentially, there's a case of Leeds United picking up the ball in the final third and being able to work it around that way. I've got Solomon in on the left-hand side. I think Leeds are going to go back in for him. That's my personal thought. I think we will go back in for him. I think there's going to be, as Angus Kinnear coined.
So we both think that's the most realistic thing that happens on the left side.
Yeah. I think an Angus Kinnear quote, which always has stuck with me when it comes to this, is a market opportunity, or a phrase. We're going for the market opportunities, and I think there is going to be that when it comes to Solomon toward the back end of the window. I think he'll become available. I don't think he'll be probably in Tottenham's squad. So I think he will come to Leeds United. Rodrigo Muniz, I'm very 50-50 with. Very 50-50 with. Let's move back to the obvious glaring error here, or the obvious glaring big mover. Ramsdale in net is one of which I've kind of looked at, to be honest with you, and I thought Sunderland are obviously in for him. They're looking for a goalkeeper. I wonder with Milinkovic Savic, I don't think that one gets done. I think Napoli are interested. Apparently they're going to trigger that release clause.
I think. Yeah,
Pope is not going to leave. I don't think Newcastle. I don't think that's going to happen. And then you look at the other option, Lucas Perry at Lyon. I think that's become a hell of a lot more complicated now. So what I will say, and I presume I'm getting absolutely shelled in the chat right now, but as an alternative to Ramsdale, I think they might look at Robin Zentner at Mainz under Bo Henriksen. I think that could be an option that Leeds will go for. But I see Aaron Ramsdale as a very easy and doable option, and Ramsdale would 100% take that move. So maybe he is fourth or fifth choice, and maybe that is one that Leeds get. But what I will say as well is it's just because those three who are heavily rumoured, I don't think get done. There is Zentner in there. There's nothing really that confirmed around Zentner or Ramsdale right now. But I would just look at that and think that's probably the easy slottable option, to be honest with you. So that's
all
kind
right.
of the
That makes
rationale.
sense. I think for me, Levakovic is one of those guys that is a high performer who would come in for less money than a Ramsdale, and would allow us to save some money for the attacking positions. So that was my rationale there. Not because I think it's at this point I have no idea who we'll bring in as a goalkeeper, because we've been linked with so many, and because I don't know. Nobody does how the recruitment team operates. Sometimes they just make signings and spring them up on us. I'm fine with that.
As
But
Gary said this as well. Where is our? And I think this is going to come up a lot, Gary. And I think this is a really interesting conversation when it comes to Leeds United and how we're going to go about things. And I think it might come a bit more clear in our hopeful 11s, where we've varied the formations a little bit, both of us, and they're both different formations as well. But
they're
realistic.
different formations, but they're also 4-2-3-1s. Just depending on how you play.
Yeah. Mine's varied, and yours is as well. It's a bit of a manipulation, but I think when it comes to Al Tanaka, what I think the reason, Gary, and I think Gabe shares this sentiment as well. I think there's a reason that we're going in for Anton Stack. I think there's a reason we've gone in for the profiles that we've gone in for so far. I think Leeds United are going to try be difficult to beat. I think they've tried to take little things from Luton Town, and I think we're going to implement as well a higher level of technical efficiency in the final third. I think Leeds are going to try and make themselves difficult to beat, and I think in a lot of games this season, Gary, I think Leeds are going to have two of the more physical players in that midfield, whether or not that's Ampadu, Stack, or Longstaff. I think against the bottom half teams, Tanaka coming in and with his creativity and his guile and football IQ, I think he'll be able to get through these games and pick some of these teams off. Could be wrong, obviously, but I think Gary, there's two ways of going about this, mate. There's two ways of going about this. But if you want to become extremely difficult to beat, physical, athletic, I think at some stage, that's not to say Tanaka's not, by the way, but you know, his game is in a little bit of a different sphere to what, let's say, a Longstaff and Ampadu a Stack is for me. So I think that's kind of the rationale behind it from both. About if Leeds are to play against the top six, I mentioned this on a video, and the mid-table bracket sides, I think they've got to go physical. They've got to go.
And we haven't even put up what we want based on realistic links. And again, this isn't what we want pie in the sky. This is what we want to happen based on the realistic links we have. The one thing I want to point out here as well is, or really not point out but ask is, I'm interested to know which one of these lineups we put up you all in the comments think is more likely to happen. Again, this is our like gun to our head. This is our prediction. I'm such an American. Gun to our head. There's a million things you could say instead of that. But what's the prediction we think we'll line up with? And so do you think mine is more accurate, or do you think Connor's more accurate? Let us know in the comments. Connor, you want to throw up the aspirational?
Yeah, let's do it.
Not the aspirational, but the
I'm now worrying that your when I plugged yours in, that it's wrong as well. So keep on.
I'll be angry.
No, but we have got your backup just here. But yeah, so this is Gabe's hopefuls. This is what Gabe obviously is the ideal situation with the rumors that we've had, the links,
and they have to be based on rumors. They can't just be. That's the whole key here. Is like these would be signings we could afford and would be realistic, and maybe a stretch here or there, but nothing like like Grealish popularity.
Okay, so Gabe, I believe this is yours here, mate. Milinkovic, Savic, Jadon Bogle, Jacobiol, Joe Rodon, Goodmanson in a 4-1-4-1. Anton Stack. Then you got Dan James, Gus Hamer, Al Tanaka, Igor Pejao, Rodrigo Muniz.
I don't have Dan James. I have Willie Nonto.
Okay. Well, that's an easy fix. Willie Nonto. There we go. Nonto on the right instead of James. Not much between them, but still, yeah, that's Gabe's hopeful.
Wait. Sorry. Say the left winger again.
Igor Pejao. Is that right?
Bring him in.
Yes,
Igor Pejao. That's
good.
He and Muniz are my big signings. Here's my rationale here. First things first. Remember, this is like in the attack, we're more of a 4-1-4-1, and in defense, Tanaka would drop down a little bit. We'd be back to a 4-2-3-1. So you're just having one of the dual pivot push up more in the attack, which we've seen under Farka anyway with the silky smooth operator, as you like to call him, Glenn Kamara, and with Tanaka at various points this season. So a lot of what we do is very reminiscent. I understand that it's not very likely to start out that Stock is going to be our starting defensive midfielder. I think he's better than Ethan Ampadu, and if we sign Stock, I do think at some point that will be how we line up.
I think I'm very surprised you've gone with a 4-1-4-1 with the newly promoted team. I know there's the Bielsa way of playing
with these really physical center halves who are tall and good with the ball, fullbacks that I think Bogle's defense is underrated. I don't think he's a great fullback defensively, but I think he's good enough. He's not one of these like only one direction players. Same thing with Gunman. So of course we'll have to see in the Premier League. But I think when you have a winger like Willie Nonto or a Dan James or even an Ego, all right, I think that you get some more holistic cover.
It's
And
very attacking. It's very attacking, that format.
but I
Especially
don't think, but Tanaka is also a decent, like, positionally, he does really well. So again, you drop into a 4-2-3-1.
Mm.
I think that Stock is a better holding midfielder than Ampadu, and I think he does everything Ampadu does just slightly better. So for me, again, you're I'm not saying that that front that midfield four is bombing deep inside the box every time where you have five clearly forward. But I do think in terms of how you build up, you would see Tanaka in a more advanced position. Again, Hamer, depending on if we sign him, but that's how I would like to line up. And I think that's a team that, look, against the bottom 4 or 5 teams, bosses and wins most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's the context. I think against a lot
Yeah.
of the teams, that team. I mean, and look, we're looking at this anyway, but I think with a 4-1-4-1, it's very flat. It's very risky with just that single pivot, especially if we're in transition
But
and we're
it's
going
not. You
forward.
have a dual pivot with Tanaka.
But when you've got the likes of Stack and Longstaff available, and you're trying to be physical in that midfield, and you've got Gus Hamer as well to cover alongside Pejao, James, and Rodrigo Muniz in a, I don't know. I think
When
it's
you
a
need to
little
get
bit
more
risky.
physical, when you're playing teams that can punish you on a little bit more, or who can outpossess you, then you can go with a Stock and an Ampadu. Then you can go with a Stock and a Tanaka. Sorry, a Stock and a Longstaff, and you can put them into more traditional 4-2-3-1. But this gives you real options here. Anyway, this is my hopeful 11. This is what I want. Make it happen.
Yeah, let us know what you think in the comment section below as well, everybody, with regards to the chat here as well. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. Apart from Ramsdale, I would say Conor is more likely. I knew Ramsdale was going to get the slapper. Weah no longer in the mix. It doesn't look like it, mate. No, it doesn't look like it. Scott says, I honestly think Hamer either stays or goes to PSV. The Dutch club have made about 40 to 50 million quid in sales. They have indeed. Hamer is an active target according to Dutch press, believing they can get him for 12 million quid. Imagine, by the way, if they've got, isn't it crazy, Gabe, how like there was such an inflation of fees, and this isn't just the Sheffield United fans, but there was people telling me that when you looked at Vinny Souza, who's going to go for 20 million quid, 25 million quid, went to Wolfsburg for 13 million quid. If Hamer goes for 13 million quid, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? And it's just that is the reality of when you're a second season championship club. You need to sell, and people will try lowball you.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. It'd be interesting to see how he would do it. Over there in the Eredivisie. My guy Malik Tillman just got sold by them, and so
He
they're
did. He's looking good. He's looking good.
I gotta tell you, I've watched him a lot. This is not what we're here to talk about, but so apologies for me railroading. But I watched him a lot this summer in person, and I was like, even against poor competition, when you watch somebody, you're just like, yeah,
he's a good player. I like him. He's a good player.
Yeah,
Pierce
I wouldn't be surprised in 2-3 years if he goes to the Premier League. Anyway.
Pierce early on said, Conor, why do you hate Aronson? And then he's followed up with a super chat to Gabe. I don't hate Aronson, by the way, Pierce. What role does Aronson play in the team next season, Gabe?
If he's still here, I would say he's going to be a backup 8 coming in to finish off matches and provide a little bit of pressure if we're trying to see one off. I think even though Brendan Aronson is classified as a center attacking midfielder, it's the same criticism I always have. If he gains, a stone, he could be a half decent 8.
It's just the same problems with him consistently.
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is.
He's not evolved. He's just not
He's a good
evolved.
substitute to. I mean, look, he's a pest, isn't he? So like, if you're looking to.
I think when it's sorry to
Gabe, in the last 10 minutes, throw him in there. But
Gabe, I think when there's that chaos factor, sorry to interrupt, mate, but the chaos factor towards the sort of like last 10, 15 minutes of games, which I think can work in the Premier League. Let's say if James was on the bench, which I don't think is likely, and Nonto comes off, and let's say a starting central midfielder, let's say for argument's sake, Gus Hamer comes off, and then you bring on Aronson and Dan James, it does give you that, maybe that little bit that other teams don't have, where it is just that chaos that Daniel Farke does like to rely on in the last 15 to 20 minutes, dependent on the results and stuff. So that might work. It might work. I think that's kind of the only avenue for me anyway, Brendan Aronson has in this Leeds United side. And it's not a hatred from me at all. It's
FA
not.
Cup,
cup competitions, definitely.
You need to rest your best players. And listen, I think that what's always going to go against Aronson is the fee we brought him in on. If we brought him in for like 5 million quid and he didn't work out, we'd be saying, he tries really hard, and at the end of the day, just doesn't have the physicality, loses the ball a little bit too much. Could have really suffered, in my opinion, by developing in MLS versus abroad, because who knows? But unfortunately, that's not the case. He was our what, our second, third,
Yeah.
uh, highest fee signing.
Mhm.
Um, brought into play a specific system that failed. He's always going to be associated with that manager and thing and
Crazy
all that.
fee,
So
crazy
yeah.
fees, Gabe, when you look at Leeds at points. Obviously, James 25, Rodrigo 30, Aronson 30. Oh,
The one
God.
thing I will say though, and this is going to sound like sour grapes, but when you're thinking about Diarra and you're thinking about some of these other players that Sunderland have picked up,
Yeah.
remember before Aronson came to Leeds,
Yeah.
he had a couple of Champions League performances that had you turning your head. You were like, wow. And you remember when he first got here, that match against Chelsea, it wasn't just the goal he picked up off Mendy, but the turn against Koulibaly. I remember that was pretty. I thought, oh wow, we've really got a player here. He's better than I thought he was. And
Mm.
so you have to really be careful with. Doesn't mean you only sign Premier League proven players, but I saw that we were linked it to the slight um, attacking midfielder from Salzburg, and somebody asked me about it, and I was like, I don't
No,
think we sign another
Oscar,
slight
Oscar
attack.
Gluck. Yeah, Oscar Gluck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think we sign a guy like him after what happened the last time. So,
It's crazy
sometimes it
difference
just
as
doesn't
well.
work out.
It's a crazy difference. I just think you've got to target the big leagues. You've got to target the big leagues,
Yeah.
and I think we've had too many. Yeah, Aronson's a perfect example, really, of that leap. And I think there's a few Leeds players who there's just not been that much of an evolution in their games over the past however many years at the club when they've been given big contracts. Bamford, Harrison, etc., etc. I just don't think there's been a level up. Although Bamford's now got muscle, so according to some fans, he should be starting. But let's move on from that. Football subjective, everybody. But I just don't agree with that one. Okay, let's move on, shall we? So that was Gabe's hopeful 11. So this is my hopeful.
I can't
11.
wait to see how cynical this is.
It's actually, I think this is very nice. And are you gonna let me have a little bit of time to explain this and the
Maybe
formation?
we'll see.
Okay, so I've gone for a 3-4-3 in the Premier League when it comes to Leeds United. The reason I've gone for this is I think there's protection for Leeds United's fullbacks who I think isolated. I don't think they are great defensively or offensively at this level. I think turning Bogle and Goodmanson into wing backs sort of lets them expose and get into that final third with having that cover as well with Strauch and Rodon. I think both of their positional awareness when it came to centre backs was really good last season and developed, in my opinion, from the first season in the Championship. I think it also maximises wing play with the 3-4-3. Gives them a little bit of structure, but with a little bit of freedom as well. I think when you look at the 3-4-3, there's a real variation as well in the pivots that we can have. There's still people talking about Gruev being in the Premier League. I think a 3-4-3 gives you a little bit of protection as well there with a Stack and a Gruev, a long staff and an Ampadu, a long staff and a Gruev. I think there's various partnerships which aren't as exposed in that formation with all the protection as well. And I think the formation in particular lets Leeds play out from the back a little bit more safely when we need to do so and when we're not going direct. Obviously, using those 3 centre backs and 2 central midfielders, which I think is perfect for Farke transitions. And out of possession as well, probably similar to Gabe's, really. You can just shift back into a 4-1-4-1 or a 5-4-1 and absorb the pressure. And yeah, in attack, transitionally, Leeds' wing backs can become wingers, which lets us hopefully at points, maybe against the bottom half teams, Leeds flood into the final third. I've gone with, when it comes to personnel, I've gone with the back 3, of which Bornau I think would fit in here as well. I think all of them are very, very capable of being in a back 3. And have been in a back 3 as well. Nick Pope, I think, is still, I don't know about you, Gabe, and we'll speak about it at the end. I think Nick Pope is still my preference out of all of them. He just would be perfect. I think his height.
Wait, you would.
I was about to
Sorry.
finish the attributes
No,
then.
no. Go ahead. I can't help myself.
Okay.
You really would want him over Milinkovic Savic, who looks like a war criminal. I want him so badly. He looks like the Big Show from WWE. Like he scares the shit out of me. And that's what I want in my goalkeeper.
Yeah. He's a terrifying MFer, that is for sure. He is.
6'8". He honestly looks like a Star Wars character.
He does.
That's gonna rip somebody in half and laugh at you.
Yeah, he does.
Like a Mortal Kombat villain.
He does look like a Mortal Kombat villain, or some sort of some sort of Game of Thrones
Sub boss before Goro or something like that. Yeah, he looks like the Mountain on Game of Thrones. He does. He does.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, for God's
yeah.
sake.
So obviously you back 3, and then you can drop into a back 5 as well with Goodmanson and Bogle, but I won't want to rely on that. Ampadu and Stack in the middle for a lot of games, guys. I think Ampadu is a more technical footballer than Longstaff. I think Longstaff would have to be used for certain games, but I think when you've got the pivot of Ampadu and Stack just in there. I think defensive, that's pretty good as well if you're bombing on forward with Goodmanson and Bogle going forward. James, I think in transition for Leeds United this season is going to be really important. Gabe made a good point with Nonto as well, but I think there's different things you get with both right wingers. But I think the beautiful thing about James is if we are defending in the low block, you hit James, transitionally, it's perfect. Pejao has ridiculous speed as well. Unbelievable technical footballer, in my opinion. Can go both sides. Could play on the right if he wanted to as well, and probably give similar output to James and Nonto. But I like Pejao, and then Muniz. I think that front three is probably. Yeah. I think that is probably the. So I don't think there's that much. In fact, Gabe, I think it's pretty much spot on. I've just gone to a back three and Pope. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear if this lineup happens. I can't wait to hear the jeering at Ellen Road when Stock and Ampadu are playing the ball back to Biol. And they're saying, be progressive, carry the ball forward, pass it to the box.
100%. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting how Leeds set up. I think that's fascinating how it's going to be, how we're going to go into these games. But Tanaka is such an interesting proposition, isn't he, Gabe? Like, because he's evidently our best technical player. By the way, I'm not saying that, but Leeds have got to go up against some of these teams. I think our recruitment has shown that when we're bringing in you look at all of them, even the Mecha, and you look at all of them, they all fit a certain frame, height, apart from Goodmanson, obviously, but still, apparently he's pretty physical and good in the duels as well, so he kind of fits that
he's like
profile
5'11".
anyway.
He's not small.
Yeah, he's not small. Yeah, exactly.
You thought Junior Firpo was like 6'3". He's only 6 feet tall.
Right? He's definitely bigger than Goodmanson, though, isn't he? So
he's like by an inch. It's a marginal difference.
Guys, Gabe says he's 6'4", then he says he's 6'5", and he'll keep going up and up and up.
I've never said 6'4". 6'3" is what I am.
6'2" last week. Go find the receipts, guys.
It's 6'2" without shoes. I get the shoes on. I'm 6'3".
Dan Agas is
Connor's just angry because I said he was small when I met him.
You know that's untrue. People who've met me in person know that's untrue. You all know that's untrue. Hi, lads. Who are the players for the subs bench? It's a good question, Dan, but I think, Gabe, would you agree that the three that have come in Longstaff, Nemecha, and... Well, okay. Peru is not ahead of Nemecha for me. That's an outlandish sort of way of thinking, in my opinion. I think Nemecha is ahead of Peru, especially for the Premier League and what we're looking for. So it depends.
It depends on how they play in camp and how they play in not preseason, but how they train. Like I think Daniel Farke is going to start people. I hope, like a good manager, Daniel Farke will start everybody almost from a net zero. He won't with everybody. Clearly, there are some people brought in to be starters, but there has to be competition, especially because we keep talking about the starting 11s, and as we should, right? This is the whole thing of the conversation today. But you say all the time, styles make fights, and I agree.
True.
Lineups make make comparisons, and the reality is that there are going to be some teams where Tanaka is going to be in there with a holding midfielder. And like that's what I want to see against a Burnley. That's what I want to see against the West Ham. That's what I want to see against some of these other sides. I don't want to see that against Newcastle. I don't want to see that against Liverpool. I don't want to see that against Arsenal. So I think the midfield is going to be a lot less, and I hope this is the case, a lot less locked in every match as the same pairing. And I think it's going to be depending who we're playing. I hope to see a lot more rotation in the midfield. Because there's a guy, like if we sign Stock, I think he plays every game, or I want him to play every game, but he won't, and he shouldn't. It's a long season, and you have to keep your players healthy. And I can't imagine bringing in a long staff to just sit on the bench. It doesn't make any sense,
100%. Good vid, guys. Are any of the kids getting involved next season, presuming Joseph goes? Yeah, I think so, Henry. Thanks for the compliment as well, mate. I think Joseph goes. It's interesting that we've not seen a few outs. I thought we'd see them very quickly, to be honest with you. Obviously, we've seen the obvious ones go, but I thought there might have been a Nonto, there might have been a Strauk. There might have been a few. Obviously, I didn't expect Byram to be sticking around as well, but I think Joseph, if they can come to an agreement with Betis, which appears to be the problem, I think he does go, and this is all about.
Just has to sell a player first, and I think that's all they're waiting for. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the stuff is, isn't it? It's waiting for other teams to get their business done as well, and their squad sorted.
20 million for Joseph. That's good business.
Yeah. I just don't want to see any of the Charlie Cresswells going for 4 million. I don't fancy that again. Thank you very much. Think we will need to be flexible. 3-5-2 against the big teams, 4-3-2-1 or 4-3-3 against your West Ham Wolves. Yep, straight out of the Thomas Frank at Brentford book. Chris, I guess that's kind of a good place to touch on as well, Gabe. Brentford, interesting.
Weak, vulnerable.
Well, Forest as well going for Visser. Interesting when it comes to that as well. If Mbeumo, it looks like he's about to sign for Man United at some stage. That's pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. Yeah. Then you're obviously looking at mass experience when it goes to Norgard leaving. They brought Henderson in, which some would say is a savvy buy. I can't get around Keith
Would have been
Andrews.
impactful 3 years ago.
But. Yeah, but Keith Andrews, I can't get my head around that managerial appointment when it comes to a set piece specialist, obviously, who's been there a year under Frank. They went for his assistant Constantine. He's gone with Frank, and then they've gone with Keith Andrews, who was on Sky Sports 2 or 3 years ago. So it's very risky. Maybe they think it's a risk worth, going for. But
maybe the ownership's looking to sell.
Potentially. Yeah. But who do you see as
their transfer budget annually has been pretty paltry, Connor, if you compare it to the rest of the Premier League. We're going to see how good Thomas Frank can be. I've been a massive fan of his for a long time, and I think that
because he's gone to Spurs. Because he's gone to Spurs, you're going to see how much.
Well, yeah, and Spurs have seemingly backed him. Yeah, right. That they've given him a bunch of signings and that are good. So I think that and really, if there's a significant drop off with Brentford, and I've been wrong about Brentford before, I've predicted that they would go down when they didn't. They more than didn't go down, but we'll see if there's any substance behind just it being Thomas Frank. I mean, that could be a team that we pick on a little bit.
Sorry, mate. I'm just Stephen. What are you talking about here, mate? Sorry, I'm just getting
the comment.
I don't bring it up. Yeah, let's bring this guy. What are you talking about? You're not blocked. You are commenting. What are you talking? Who am I stealing? What are you talking about, Stephen?
I can't see the comment. Bring it up.
I have done. Stephen from this guy steals money from blocked people. I honestly, Stephen, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I've just told you. If you want to get in contact with me, mate, via emails or DMs, please do. If something's, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you are, buddy, but let me know in the comment. Let me know in an email or something what you're experiencing, because it's been very vague. You're just telling me that I'm stealing money.
Wait, hang on. He said Dave Long's charging some. I'm reporting it to YouTube.
I don't.
Yeah, this seems strange and unhinged.
Yeah,
you're not blocked. We can see you chatting right now.
Yeah,
it's a really strange accusation.
But if you do carry on with this, mate, you are going to be removed, because I've no idea what you're talking about, and you are clogging up the chat. So there you go. Would you guys take Chris Wood as a striker? God, yes. Why not? Yeah, why?
Yeah,
not?
I mean, look at his record, right? I mean, but we'll see if it's just one season. But yeah, of course, it'd be. Can you imagine just be like, nah, this guy's just banged in a ton of goals in the Premier League. We don't want him.
100%. Can you see any? Do you think there'll be any surprising outgoings this season, or do you think it's just the obvious ones?
Yeah, I think we'll have a bunch of outgoings, like in a couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if that's just going to happen rapidly. I love how you snuck Strauch into your lineup. We've still not spoken about it. Like Strauch is going to play over Rodon in a Daniel Farka team. Can't see it.
Yeah, but that's not my lineup is having all three of them, and I think Bornau fits into that as well. I think there's cover there for him. But I think there's got to be a bit of pragmatism for the manager. I think he's got to switch. I don't think he will, but I think in game there's got to be switches. There's got to be switching of certain personnel for certain games. If he doesn't do that, I think Leeds are in trouble. If we stick to a very similar, predictable 4-2-3-1, it's the same personnel in there week in, week out. And we're not adapting for certain teams. I think you've got to as a smaller team in terms of us.
Sorry, I've got you all distracted based on the question was like outgoings. Given the fees we paid for some of the players and how good they've been, I know you're not much of a fan of Gruev, but realistically, like given the fee we paid for him, I think he's more than justified the money we spent. So I could see him going. I think there's a scenario out there where a team comes in and wants Tanaka, will pay like upwards of 25 million quid for him. I don't think we sell him for anything like less than that. I'm not even necessarily saying we sell him. I just think that, that could be a surprise because the positive for PSR. And when you think about it in terms of our like 2-3 year plan of how we stay up in this division, maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't quite fit what we need right now and the type of matches we're going to be playing. The fact that we're not looking to sell Joseph for like less than 20 million tells me that we're probably not going to be mugged off with assets we think are worth money and could be a positive gain for PSR. So that might be a surprise. I do think it's really funny that suddenly people are clamoring for Cresswell because he had a good season in France and they've not watched him have a good season in France. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how he does at the next level. As I say, I don't rate him and I never have, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
maybe I am wrong.
It's more of the fee. I think it was more the fee we lost him for, 4 million quid, isn't it? There's a as a very, very high prospect, someone who's played in the Premier League, someone who's got, is capped in England through the youth, the youth setups. I think it should just be more than 4 million quid. That's all. I think that's the problem people have. But like you said, Gabe, there is a part of our fan base as well, which is fair enough. It's just their opinion, who think that Leeds should go back in for him, which I should never let him go. But the thing is,
we'll lose like 15 million net on him. Be like, go 20 million for Cresswell.
Just the worst way of doing business. CJJ says,
school of transfers.
He says, gents, great content as always. Thanks, CJJ. Really hope Ramazani gets his shot. Really unique talent and gravely underused last year. I couldn't disagree with you more, mate. I think probably because of the lack of...
Couldn't agree with you more, right? You just
that's what I said, yeah.
Disagree. No, you said couldn't disagree with you more.
Apologies, couldn't agree with you more. I think the one Ramazani fan channel, obviously, it's pretty.
That's why I was weirded out. Like, what do you mean?
It's pretty clear what
now
I
all
think.
Of a sudden you don't want Ramazani.
I think when it looks, I think Ramazani, there's been just a mass underutilization of him last year, which means that I don't think CJJ is ready. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he will be ready. I don't think he's at that point where you can just throw him in the Premier League right now. I think maybe if there'd have been more of an investment in him last season, we could have definitely seen a different structure and picture when it comes to Ramazani, but I don't think you can do that right now.
My hot take is that he is ready.
I don't think so.
I do. I just don't think that Farke particularly likes him. This happens with managers and players sometimes. You just, like Kevin De Bruyne at Chelsea.
It's just like
Mo Salah at Chelsea. How many players at Chelsea do you want? Like, and I'm not saying that he's that level of talent, but what I am saying is that when we saw him play with any regularity, he was really impressive. And his goals per 90 was elite in the team. He caused problems for defenders, had them on their heels. Cut inside was an absolute menace. For whatever reason, Farke decided that he didn't particularly rate him, and he went with other guys. And I'm not even saying Farke was wrong to do that. Maybe better for our team, chemistry on the pitch or whatever. Maybe Farke knows, even though I don't love Farke as a manager, I've said this often, he's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know, right? So this is the truth with anybody at that level. So he has to have his reasons, but that's not to say that Ramazani couldn't go someplace today, like this won't happen, but like a Fulham, right? I mean, that could be surprising, right? So for me, it's not that he's not ready. I think he's kept out of the team not because he's not ready, it's because Farke doesn't want to play him. I think that's what it comes down to.
Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, says Ramazani for me better on right wing doing the James role. Cheers for your donation, mate. Yeah, potentially. Who knows? But yeah, it would be nice to see him break through at some stage. I agree with you. Tom says, do you think Underwood's lack of experience as DOF is limiting our... No, I don't, mate. I don't. I think he's highly, highly regarded. Obviously, Hammond trusted in him to take over. I think obviously it's a bit of a period of time. It's transitional, isn't it? Moving into a new job role. But Leeds will have been planning this for a while, mate. So
we were saying the same stuff last season about Hammond.
Point,
transfer market. Everyone's like, "Oh, we paid to have Nick Hammond in. Oh, what was that for?" And like people were so angry.
I just love how when you're doing impressions, it always starts with
oh.
Every time. It's always like someone's about to push him off a bridge. Oh, well.
It's my natural sound when cocaine's been ingested. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No, but remember, like this time last summer and the summer before that, we were whinging about similar things. So I think we've just put a new face to it. I think it'll be all right. Let's hope. And if not, then we'll say, well, we were stupid to trust them. But you can only engage with what's in front of you.
Of course you can.
Oh,
Oh, right, guys. Leave a like on the video. We've got 250 likes. Can we rack it up? We've got 800 in the building right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. It's another episode of the Hardline, which have been doing very, very well over the past however many months. So thank you so much for engaging. Read all the comments as well, myself and Gabe after the video. So keep it respectful. It's all just a little bit of fun at the end of the day. And make sure you're getting involved. As I say, we are going to be back tomorrow with the ever-present Rumour Mill at
we'll be back
10.
tomorrow.
I will be, yeah, 10 a.m. GMT. Make sure you check it out, everybody. And we'll be back next week, next Sunday, with the Hardline. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you in a bit.
Get
Cheers.
behind the team.